Today, I want to talk about a very, very important topic when it comes to manifestation and manifesting your desires, whatever your desires might be. And this topic is the glamour of a desire. And this is very interesting because no one really talks about it in the community of law of attraction practitioners and manifesting desires, etc., so on and forth, right? And the glamour of desires doesn't come from me. I think I think we could say it comes from Buddhism, but the person that talked about it the most and in a very, very specific way is David Hawkins, the late David Hawkins. More specifically in his book Letting Go. And I remember when I was reading about this particular topic, what is the glamour of desire? The glamour of desire is very, very interesting and very, very important. The glamour of our desire is what we add to our desires. Obviously, before we have it, the anticipation, the fantasy we have about our desires, and why it can be dangerous. So, there's two things I'm going to talk about when it comes to the glamour of desires. Obviously, I'm going to talk more specifically what is the glamour of our desire. But there's two things that are very important when we glamorize our desires. First, it will help us. It will help us get our desires much quicker because it will make our desires more neutral. And the second thing, we might realize that some of our desires are not actually what we really want. And that's great. But that's why the glamour, to know about this particular concept of the glamour of a desire is important. Because once you know about this, you will not put your desire on a pedestal and you will realize what you really want and what is just superfluous and what might be just fabricated in your mind because of the peer pressure and social conditioning, social medias, blah blah blah, medias, etc. Right? So when it comes to glamour of desires, we all have stuff in our lives that we have wanted so much. Just take a brief moment and think about something that you did not have before and now you have in your life. Maybe it's money, maybe it's a job, maybe it's a specific person, maybe it's a car, a vacation. And you will see that, yes, oftentimes you had anticipated a lot and you had yearned for this thing a lot. And then what happened after you got it? Just became normal. Or even worse, you might have been disgusted about it. Because you say, all this for nothing? All this for that? That's why it's important to not glamorize our desires and not put them on a pedestal. Yes, there is, how should I put it? There is a joy sometimes, even though it's short lived. There is a joy in anticipation. But anticipation is like everything else. In moderation, it can be good, but when you go too far, there's a backlash. So when you set your expectations so high for something, you realize that you are kind of disappointed when you get it. The Buddha said, I remember, is nothing is as bad as you would thought it would be, and nothing is as good as you thought it would be. And that's a very, very interesting quote. Because it's never as bad as you think. Sometimes you go through depression, sadness, and stuff. And yes, it's horrible and it feels bad, but it could be worse, and you thought it would be worse. Or sometimes some fears you had happen to come to pass, and yeah, it's not good. Doesn't feel good. It's not joyful. It's not a joyful moment, but it's not as bad. And the same thing, obviously, I'm making generalities. I'm not saying this it applies to everything, but same thing with good things. So you anticipated. There's so many things in my life, like when it comes to relationships, to material goods, a lot of things. We don't expect anything to make us happy that is outside of us, right? So when I was younger, when I was a teenager, now I'm 32 now, but when I was a teenager, I used to be very, very skinny. Very, very skinny. Like now I'm 6'2", 190, 185 pounds. When I was younger, I was the same height when I was a teenager. And I was like, what, 150, 140 pounds? Oh, it's horrible. I got teased a lot. I got not bullied, but a lot of people were mocking me, making fun of me. So like getting bigger, being big, being more athletic and muscular and fit was like an impossible dream. And it took me years to get me to where I am now, where I'm very happy and very satisfied with my body. But then again, I am grateful for it, don't get me wrong, but it didn't change my life that much. It's just, yes, happy, but then life goes on and then you want something else. And I'm not saying our desires are bad, but we have to put them into context and understand that once you get it, you're gonna go on for the next thing, so on and forth. And that's why it's easier to not put them on a pedestal once you know that. And that's the good thing. The bad thing is if you put them so much on a pedestal that you are disappointed. So much so that you want something else. And you're also disappointed. You keep being disappointed and keep living in the future of your wish fulfilled instead of the present of the wish fulfilled. So when you live in this hamster wheel, no matter what you get, you will be always unfulfilled. And that can lead to depression, suicide. We all know people who have seemingly everything and just are sad. Rich people, who have relationship, great relationship, they seemingly have perfect lives. And then all of a sudden, they take their own lives. As they say, the two worst things that can happen in life is first, not getting what you want, and second, getting what you want. Think about this. And again, it's not to say that you should not have desires. Unless you're a monk and you pursuing enlightenment, so to speak, then yeah, by all means, you're going to meditate all day long and you're going to cultivate your mind in a way that you will have less desire. But the thing that is important for us to understand is our desires are our own. And we decide what we desire. But the thing is, what desires are not our own? What desires have been put in our minds because of society, because of this and that, because of friends, because we want to keep up with the Jonases, etc., etc. That's why it's important when you understand the glamour, because if you put your desires on the pedestal and if they are not your own, they are desires that be fabricated by society, by social medias, by peer pressure, by envy, by jealousy. Once you get them, how are you gonna feel? Yes, you're gonna feel like shit. That's why it's important to understand this concept of glamour. Once you understand the glamour, if you have desires, if you have some desires that you want to have granted because you are in a competition with someone else or you want to prove something to someone else, that won't bring you any satisfaction at all. If anything, it will bring you only frustration and depression because people don't really care. And it's not a desire that fulfills, that make your heart sing. It's something that you did because you were vain and you were insecure. And when you get this, what will happen? You will want something else because you will find something else to be insecure about. I'm not going to lie. When I was skinny, I felt bad. I felt less of a man and I felt less attractive to women. And it's horrible when you're 16-year-old, 17, 18-year-old man, boy. That didn't feel good at all. So what should I do? So yeah, I eat more, I go to the gym. And yes, it's not a good reason. I didn't do it for myself. I do it because I want to fit in. I want to conform. I want to prove something to others that I can be big. But it didn't bring me any comfort once I reach this level. Yes, I get compliments and stuff like this and it feels good. But it's not fulfilling. The fulfillment part is the discipline I got from the person I became, the stronger physical health and fitness I have. That's great. And yes, looking good with or without clothes is great too. But now it's for me. Now it's for me. I do it for me. Because if you do it for someone else, people don't care that much about you anyway. About your success, your thing. They might be jealous of you, they might envy you. But do you want people to feel like this about you? Of course not. It might be satisfying for a few moments, but the rest of the time it's like, really? You want people to be happy. You want to be happy. And to manifest things, you want other people to be happy because it will make it easier to achieve whatever you want. That's what Wayne Dyer said before he died. He said that if you want something for yourself, wish it for someone else. And Joseph Murphy said something very similar as well. He said that when you envy others, you are preventing the thing you want from happening in your life. So if you envy someone, instead of envying them, wish more of what you envy for them. And it will open the gates for you to have it as well. So when it comes to glamorization, we want to understand that every desire we have, generally speaking, has this kind of glamour. And once you understand the glamour and once you understand why you want this desire, you are going to get rid of so many of them that are useless. The only ones that will be left is those you really want. But even those you really want, you have to understand that this desire will not necessarily change your life for the better. Why? Because you can be happy right here, right now. And that's why when it comes to living in the end, as Neville Goddard would say, you don't need to be ecstatic. I'm never ecstatic about my desires. I'm happy, I'm joyful, but sometimes you can be just grateful for life. That's the Easy and Wonderful technique by Neville Goddard. The joy, the lullaby technique by Joseph Murphy and Neville Goddard. The gratitude you have. These things that all stem from inside. But when it comes to desire, whatever the desire may be, yes, you can add joy and stuff like this. It's great, it will help. But for me, I'm going to reassure some of you, when it comes to desire, you can just be happy about them and be neutral about them. You don't need to be over the moon. That's what I was thinking when I started those techniques years ago. I thought it had to be like, and I'm never, like, it's not something that necessarily comes easy, nor should it come easily, and nor should it come all the time. It's good to, feel neutral and at peace and stuff like that. That's all you need to manifest when it comes to visualization and affirmation, Living in the end doesn't mean you have to be happy all the time. Living in the end is being okay. And your desire has to be neutral. So, and that's a topic for another day. But when it comes to your desires, feeling neutral is the best. Because feeling neutral is like, I have it. And that's the way you would feel when you're living in the end. Because if you're living, I don't care what it is. If it's money, if it's a specific person, if it's a car, no matter what it is, you might feel happy the first time you get this, the honeymoon period. But after a while, after some time passes along, it will feel normal, neutral. And that is living in the end. And that's how you put down your desires. And once you understand this concept of glamorization, you get rid of the desires that are useless. That's number one. And number two, those desires you really, really want for yourself, you will put them on a pedestal. And you understand that life will not change all completely. It's not like you now here and you reach paradise. Even paradise, if you were tomorrow to go to heaven, it will be normal after a while. Because that becomes your standards, which is great. But why I'm saying this is that it doesn't mean that you should not desire, you should not be happy about your desire. No, on the contrary, be happy about your desire and understand that your desires, when you put them on a pedestal, you are adding things that are unnecessary that might turn against you. So once you remove all this glamour and all these sprinkles and all this stuff, that artifices that are unnecessary, you can put down your desires to a much more neutral level. Like if you ask Richard Branson what it feels like to be a billionaire, he's been a billionaire for 30 years. It's normal for you now, for him now. You understand what I mean? So just normalize you and feel neutral about your desire and put them down. Don't put them on a pedestal. And you see, everything will be much easier once you understand that. And once you don't glamorize desire, and you don't also glamorize others. That's an automatic thing that comes along with getting rid of this glamour. You don't glamorize anybody. You don't envy anybody because you understand that this is just, it's life. It's nothing more than life. And you get what you want in a much easier way, in a much more peaceful way. Because once you understand this, it's much easier to live a life that is neutral without craving so much, without craving. And don't remember, when you desire so much, you show the universe you're lacking. So once you get rid of this glamour, you have less and less craving because you can already feel neutral and you can already feel as you already had it. As you can already live as if your wish is already fulfilled by the feeling of being neutral and normalizing. And this is okay, whatever the case, whatever I want, it's okay. I can have it. I have it. I feel neutral about it. I can do my affirmation without worrying about like feeling ecstatic or anything. No, you already have it. It's neutral. That's all you need. Anyway, I thought this video might have been shorter, but it's actually pretty long. So thank you so much for listening to the end. I hope you guys like it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. And thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. I hope you keep on doing so. It helps my channel grow and I'm very grateful. All my information is in the description box below. My coaching, my books, my second YouTube channel, and my private Facebook group. Thank you so much and I'll see you very soon.